Hello. This is how I got to top 250 on Hack the Box using Nix and LLMs. First of all, sorry for adding to the AI slop. 'Cause my name is Rambo. It's my real name. I'm gonna tell you why it's my real name because everybody's gonna ask it anyways. My parents were political refugees, and in the 80s and 90s, back then they had cultural immersion programs before you could come to the States, and you had to do you had to learn English, and part of the cultural immersion was that you got to watch American movies, and one of the most popular movies at the time was Rambo. So they thought, hey, let's give this kid a common American name, and not ruin his life. But yeah, I got a lot of machine guns and whatnot, and bullying in school. So, thank you, parents. I'm an offensive security person. I do red teaming, and I'm not a Nix specialist, and I'm not an AI specialist. I don't think there's a lot of AI specialists, to be fair. Oh, and by the way, I just found out that what I do, Hack the Box offers as like a service now, but I think it's still in like alpha or beta or something. So if anybody can get me into that, let me know because I'd love to try it. And all this is on my GitHub. Like I said, don't judge the Nix code too much because I've seen some of the presentations before here and there. It's it's janky. If you guys don't know what Hack the Box is, it's like a CTF platform. I'm sure most of you know what it is, but and the goal is the flag, anyways, is usually two text files on a machine, usually like a user and a root one, and the root one means you have like complete access over the machine, and you usually have unauthorized access to these computers, so you're doing real hacking, and you get to and here's what the GUI looks like when you go on the website. So like on each machine, you get to go on there and you get to boot it up. I would say that it targets like three main audiences. The first is like newbie students and learners that want to get into offensive security, and it's awesome for that because you can go into these boxes, and if you like mess up because you're doing hacking and bork the machine, you can just like reboot it, and it's really great for like hands-on hacking and training. The second audience is probably like professional pen testers and red teamers like myself. So like if there's super popular exploits like on the news and stuff like that, I'm like 99% sure it's on Hack the Box already. So I'll go on there and I'll spin up a box, and you don't have to worry about like creating a dev environment and getting the right version numbers and the right context to try out these new hacks. So it's pretty awesome for that. And the third audience is like gamification nerds. There's a leaderboard, so like people get really into this. You get more points based off of like the total amount of machines that you've hacked, and there's active machines, and after a certain amount of time they retire them. I think they release a machine every week, and I don't remember the cadence for the challenges, but they keep it updated. It's nice. Oh, and I'm using Hack the Box just because it's the first one that I used. Like, Try Hack Me and all the other ones I think are just as good. But like, oh, and also this one does automatic CPE submissions, which I'm lazy, so that's nice. Here's the results. So because I like to start with the results first, so you guys can leave if you think it's boring. This will not replace a red teamer. Or like AI is nowhere near close to replacing a red teamer, web app person, pen tester, or even like a junior pen tester. So we'll get that out of the way. And also giving a jailbroken LLM full admin access to your computer, if that computer has real data on it or you're hacking something actually sensitive, is a bad idea. So don't be an idiot about this stuff. Oh, and there's OPSEC to worry about too. Okay, so here's where I started on Hack the Box. I did a lot of this when I was doing my OSCP. just for like the extra training. I was actually like in the thousands. Not I forgot to take a screenshot earlier, but I was stuck here. And 1,000 isn't bad. It's like running a 5 or 6 minute mile, being a this is so stupid. Being a 70% free throw shooter, or like benching more than 200 pounds. If anybody has better examples, let me know. It's like not bad. Like if I tell somebody, hey, I'm top 1,000, they'd be like, oh yeah, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. Yeah, and if you get to like top 200, top 250, that usually means there's something wrong with you, because you don't need to be that hardcore about this stuff, like for learning, anyways. So yeah, I got top 200. That's the best rank I got using this system. Okay, I'm a workflow person. Obviously, like I'm here in Nix, I love the declarative stuff. I've used AI in red teaming for malware development, and to help obfuscate payloads, like stuff like that. So like, I have high hopes for this stuff because I've seen it used pretty effectively. So this is like a small demo of, I think it's GPT 4.0 or 4.1 or something like that, where I just gave it full access to my computer, gave it access to a browser, and told it to like have at it. And this is just like the tutorial. So my cursor's on the right, its cursor is going to be on the left. So like this is all the AI doing it all. But yeah, this is the Hack the Box starting point tutorial. I was just like, it would be cool if it could do like this stupid stuff for me. And then I just wanted to see how far it can get. Yeah, and as you can see, it's answering some of the questions for me, and doing the clicking for me. So it's kind of nice. And yeah, you can Google all this, but like I just wanted to know, like how good is AI now? And I think it starts to like, in a little bit, you'll see it start to trip up. It's asking like a super basic question, like there's an SMB share. Figure out how many shares are on that SMB share. Yeah, and it's gonna like, oh, and I could have asked it to do all this automatically. I just thought this would have been better for the demo, but whatever. Okay. So here it's gonna like start tripping up, like it's gonna start trying 1, 2, and so on and so on, and I'm just like, no, just like interact with it, figure it out. Like it's clearly not there. Oh, and this is also sped up 2 times, so like at the moment while I was doing this, it was like pretty frustrating. Just like, if I told a human to interact with this website, like they would obviously be able to figure it out. And yeah, I think at the end there, it finally gets it. Yeah, I have to be like, there you go. There you go. So you see the terminal output, and it finally like figures it out. Oh, there's 4 shares or whatever. There's. Okay, so here are my requirements, because like, I don't think it's that interesting to have the AI, the LLM. I know there's a difference. To have the AI like fill out web forms for you, like whatever. And we're clearly not at full-blown hacking AI yet, but I also don't want to be like, hey AI, do this and this and this for me. It reminded me of like this Blue Sky post I saw of like the AI folks finally figuring out thinking. Like, yeah, I don't want to have to hold the AI's hand for it the whole time. I also, so like I want something better than that, something better than just like a Googling assistant. But it also doesn't have to be like 100% autonomous. So from now on, I'm going to rate it from like 0 to 100% autonomous, where 0 is just like, why am I even using this? You're doing nothing, and 100% is filling out the web forms for me. Anything like above 20%, I'd be super happy with. And I'm going to give it a bunch of tools, have it be agentic. Like I'm going to give it MCP tools, model context protocol, or something like that. In other words, it's going to be agentic. Alternatively, if this stuff isn't interesting, you could simply just like jailbreak an AI and just like copy paste your shit. Like that works too, but I thought this was more interesting. Here's the initial architecture that I wanted to come up with. First and foremost, you got to do an ethics bypass, like Spider-Man meme of red teamer, CTFer, and like actual bad actor. Every once in a while, the AI is just going to be like, "Hey, you can't do that, or I'm not going to do that for you," or it's going to be like, "I'm not going to tell you how to do that. Here's how to fix it," and it's just like the most annoying thing ever. And this is all I needed. I didn't really need any jailbreaks. I used a client called Goose. I like the Goose because it's written in Rust. It's got a GUI and a terminal version of itself, which I'll go into later. I like the name because I'm from Minnesota. Yeah, and then yeah, I like that it's open source. So I had the client first use Copilot, and if that fails ethics, I would kind of have it eat its own tail, and then try all the other LLM providers, and then finally I would have it use DeepSeek, because DeepSeek would let you do anything. I think I use like the Gwen version with like the one that's good with tools. I don't remember. Near the end of this, I think I came across like an accidental jailbreak or something where like I just simply didn't need any jailbreaks anymore because of my prompts. Here are some alternatives if you only have access to one of those LLM providers. There's a custom ChatGPT made by Ayla Croft that a couple of weeks ago bypassed Windows Defender when I tried to do some obfuscation. So that one's sick. There's a bunch of subreddits with jailbreaks that you can just copy paste. A lot of them work. Fair warning, a lot of these are porny because that's what the internet's for. Here are the tools that I used as far as like MCP tools and to make it agentic. I honestly mostly only used the shell. Like I gave it sudo access, so it had access to my system files as well. Again, that idea. I gave it memory, which is just to do stuff like save credentials. Second most useful thing was, well, third, was the browser. Like having it be able to not just like click things for me, but actually scrape websites. And do research for me was really nice. What else? I added Geezer on there, the one made by Lori Wired. That one was amazing. I surprisingly needed it for a bunch of things on Hack the Box, especially the challenges. I had burp on there. There's a really good burp MCP, but I found that it was taking up too many context windows, and I just found it easier to just use it myself. But burp's awesome. Oh, and I will get into Nix later, but I promise it's like important. And finally, graph memory, which is like this, probably the best thing ever for this thing. It's like, think of it as a relational database. It's more like a bunch of JSON files strung together that like can talk to each other. I recommend, if you use the Bloodhound, it's really similar to that, except just for like a knowledge base. For AI, I found that the more context you give it, the better. That way you can avoid stuff like in the previous demo. So instead of having a full-on system or custom prompt to start off with, I had it instead go to my knowledge base depending on where I was at. And I would try to build off of, each time I finished the box, on Hack the Box, I would have it record everything that it did into boxes and all of this stuff, and it would get better and better was the idea. And I had to do this because when I started doing this, the context windows, by the way, when talking to an LLM, is basically the conversation that you're having. Usually, when I started this, the context window was 250,000 tokens, and a token is basically a word or a symbol. So if you picture like an mmap scan, like having the AI read an mmap scan, or even like a Linpy's privilege escalation scan, 250,000 words gets eaten up fast. So I had to basically, as much as I could, limit how much I was sending to the LLM. Like, I don't remember how it goes. Why use many words when fewer do good? Something like that. It's the same concept here. And I found that using graph memory made it like so it only had to go to certain areas if it needed to. Okay. Yeah, I did a guided improvement approach. I wanted to use the words reinforcement learning or fine-tuning, but that means like something special in machine learning, so I couldn't use it. But yeah, I gave the LLM access to its own system prompts, And Goose is really nice for this because Goose has something called Goose Hints, which, and you might see where I'm going with this later. It's a text file in the directory that when you start up the client is kind of like the prompt. Here's an example in LM Studio where there's a system prompt on the bottom, and then there's a template on top. So like this is different, by the way, for every client and every model. So that's why I'm not giving like fine-tuned examples. I'm using Goose, but you can use VS Code, Claude. There's a bunch of different options, by the way. Here was my first shot at a box. I found that it helped me out 10%. Like, this is really nice, actually. I basically fed it my OSCP methodology, which is, like how to do recon and exploit and stuff like that. It was basically a better auto recon for me. Auto recon is a reconnaissance script because it's basically using the tools that I want. And talk. This is really nice. Like, if oh shit, I'm in the wrong. Oh no, this is fine. Let me scroll down a little bit. But yeah, the AI helped. I'm not saying this made it 10% faster. It just made it 10% easier on my brain, by the way. Okay. Yeah, this is great. Well, let's see how much better it can get. I did it 2 more times, and as you can see, it did a lot better. Added a bunch more. Did a lot more for me. It was only like 15% better. I did come across an issue around here where, okay, I'm gonna have a hard time explaining this. What I was asking it to do was pattern recognition, and what I actually want an LLM to do, and this is more akin to human thinking, is I want recognition on pattern recognition. So pattern recognition is like password 123 worked once on a credential form, so now you're going to try it every single time you see credentials or like a form. And recognition of a pattern recognition is and what you actually want to tell the LLM is having it understand when you want to brute force a credential form. So that, or like when the creator of the machine set it up so that you can do that purposefully, like crack a password or a hash or something like that. And this is where I updated graph memory. So instead of having like each box do its own thing, I had each phase of hacking be the knowledge base, and each time I upgraded the prompts in the LLM itself, I would usually just update one area of this. And this felt really similar, like when I did my OSCP and trained to be a pen tester, this is actually a lot more similar to how I did it anyways, so I really like that. Yeah, the prompts were basically better. This is an example of the organization phase. It would do the folder structure for me. It would do stuff like add variables, like some nice things to have as you're doing hacking. And I did this several times, and it went well beyond my expectations. It was like 70% autonomy. I was really happy with this. In this graph, by the way, it's the same. It branches out. This is really similar to how I do hacking on Hack the Box, except this time I added tools to the diagram, so you can see each time it was agentic. I mostly did developer shell. On the right here, I think there's browsers and stuff like that. But yeah, this was really nice, well beyond my expectations. Was able to do yeah, really good. So let's see how much better it got. 90%. And I was like ecstatic. I was like, yeah. I did one more box after I got 90%, and I told myself I wasn't going to crash out. But I can feel it already because I never figured out this problem. So for some reason, instead of shell, when I did the tool calling, it renamed itself to hell. and there's a red dot there where shell should be. Like on the bottom there, it's supposed to look like that. Goose is a compiled binary. Like, I don't know how this happened. I asked it why it did this, and I sent a bunch of screenshots to my friends asking if I'm like hallucinating. Asking if I'm hallucinating, and I had to like take a break. I told the LLM what happened. It said it didn't know, it was just a typo. I had to I had to take a break, come back, had to restart it to get it going again, and then like it came back to normal. So after taking a break, I came back to the machine, started doing some digging, looking through my logs to try to figure out that bug, because it was kind of interesting and weird. And I didn't have any logs because I was so concerned about the context windows. I was just telling it, hey, you're an AI assistant, you're here to help me, don't tell me how to fix things, don't tell me how it works, just give me how to do it, because I'm trying to like rank up here, buddy. So I ended up like going through my firewall logs, shout out the firewall log to make that made this really easy. And I found, okay, so keep in mind my ethics bypass here. Like check out the last one, which is DeepSeek. I found this write-up, this Chinese write-up from nmap to root.txt, all the steps except for maybe the plain text root password. So it's not that it was at 90% autonomous and like some like Terminator machine. It was just straight up better at Googling than me. Yeah, so like this is me Googling the write-up for that box. And there's the first link is like a LinkedIn post of a dude saying he owned it and he had some steps granted of like how to do it, but not really. And if you go to like second or third page, you're not gonna find the write-up. So yeah, problem solved. So that meant I had to go back and fix the prompts, because yeah, we do need some ethics. I was telling it to like ignore everything, and now I changed it to. Instead of having like a cheating hacking mentality, now you're gonna have a learning-based personality, which I found this is when it reduced the amount of like jailbreaks needed too. So there you go. And here's where Nix comes into play. Finally, so I redid the whole architecture using Nix because it was. I'll get into like all of the reasons why later. I used devenv. There's a talk earlier, like 0 to 100, that explains all this really freaking well. But devenv is basically if you haven't used Python environments or stuff like that, like you can. It's similar to that, except for like you can do it for all your hacking applications. In my case, it's what did it call it? Fast, declarable, reproducible, and composable developer environments using Nix. It's sick. You should try it out if you haven't. Here's my structure. So I changed my devenv structures to basically like have each time I'm doing a. Okay, so Gen AI, I consider it because it's generative. I consider it like really good code completion, except instead of code completion, it's like personality completion. So if you tell it that like you're now a hacking expert, it's more likely to actually be a hacking expert. I don't know why that is, but yeah, it's generative. And yeah, here's the new workspace. I would have it choose, or I would choose the category or challenge that I was doing on Hack the Box. So like forensics or Windows Active Directory, something like that. Then once I choose that, I would have it go into the directory itself. And then this is where the prompts and directory environment comes into play really nicely. On top of the tools that you're calling, you can now call your system prompts on top of all the other stuff. And I found that, oh, by the way, I use Arch, by the way. I found that I can use my devenv shell on top of my global shell, so that like this way I have access to the AUR and all the cool tools that I have. But I was also running into like poop ton of problems with versions in Python. Oh, and this also saves a bunch of context windows. So I'm telling the prompts as well to read my dev-n files because it has all the tools that I'm using, right? So now it knows what I prefer to do as far as hacking. And also, this is just a guess, I also think that the AI thinks a little bit differently when it knows you're a Nix user. It just seems to be a little bit better. Okay, so here's I thought this graph was interesting. That top part, the first dip, that was when I figured out that the LLM was just straight up cheating for me, or DeepSeek was. And then like as I figured it out, I got like better and better at the 40% range. Here's an example of like the environment tools and what I was having the LLM read. I understand that this could be formatted and coded a bit better. I'm not a Nix expert, but really nice. And here is a demo. Oh, this is where I start my environment and I load up my tools. Like you would think it would like, take a while to spin up all of your tools, but so here I'm changing my directory to Windows. I think this is like a Linux machine too, but like I accidentally used the Windows, which is fine because I'm just demoing the beginning part. Okay. So like that was super fast. I just spun up all the tools that I needed for Windows Active Directory that you saw in the previous one, and then now I'm just gonna have it like do the organization phase. And this one, unlike the other demo, is in real time. Just like basic stuff. It's going to give the IP address of the Hack the Box machine. It's going to edit my Etsy host for me. It's going to do my node structures for me. And then it's going to like automatically, from now on, it's going to automatically update my attack path for me, which is really nice. So it does the notes for you. And then finally, I'm just going to have it start doing the Nmap scan after this. And the Nmap agentic way of it doing it is it does a Rust scan first, because it's faster, and then it does Nmap after it finds the open ports. I think that's normal. There's nothing new here, but yeah, this is really nice. Another thing that was really nice was okay. So, well, you can't really read the text, sorry. But this is a really boring example, but a really important one in my opinion. So this is a privs script that I knew a machine was vulnerable to. I think a lot of these examples are on active machines, by the way, so sorry. Don't spoil it for yourself. But yeah, I had the AI download the privs script off GitHub for me, read the instructions for how to compile it, and then redo it in, or like compile it using a Linux box. On the GitHub page, it only gives you, I think anyways, it only gives you usage for compile it in Windows. So like, I've done this hundreds of times before, and it's like kind of boring now. So the fact that AI can do this, like I can just have it go, hey, compile this export for me, and I can go grab a coffee and then come back was really nice. I feel like it didn't take away from my learning, but it did like automate a lot of the boring stuff, which is nice. And this is probably, so like, I'm trying to explain how I got to 40%. It was all of that stuff, but it was mostly this. This is, I have it look at an attack path, my nodes attack path for the box, and then I have it convert it into a shell script so that I can get back to where I was. Oh, actually, this is just my notes. This is what it looks like. So yeah, it just basically makes it so that I can catch up back to speed. And the reason why this is so nice is because, I'll show you in the next demo actually. So I'm gonna run the previous attack path script. This is like a super annoying Active Directory box where once you found credentials, you had to like change the password of another user, I think. Or no, wait, you had to do a hash dump. And then once you get that hash dump, you could do, I'm gonna like mess this up. But once you get the hash dump, you can change the password, or like you can change the group that another person is in, and then you can change the password for that user, and then like one or two other steps that was like really annoying. And I don't remember why, but if you step away from the box for more than like 20 minutes, you had to redo this all over again. Yeah, so here, and then it tells me that whenever, here I'm moving to my dev shell and spinning up my tools. And then I finally get back to my reverse shell here. So like, what would used to take 10 to 15 minutes of looking at my notes and figuring out how I got back just took like less than a minute. This was so nice. My superpower is that I can hyper focus. Like I don't quite have ADHD, but I've got 2 kids. So like every time the kids, or I'm doing this outside of work so they can kind of feel that. And every time I had, every time the kids knew that I was off work, they would be like, hey, check out this really good drawing that I just made. I'm like, oh, cool. And then if I had to go back to that same box and do all of that, like, no way. I would stop here at user and call it a day. Like, I wouldn't go back to this box. So when I talk about 40% autonomy, it's stuff like this. This adds up. This made it so that, like, Hack the Box was so much more enjoyable for me. And this is how like I got to top 200, is because it took away a lot of mental fatigue, and it kind of like if you do have ADHD, or if there's something wrong with you, like having kids, then like this helps enhance the stuff that you're already good at. It's not going to replace anybody, like junior pen testers. It just enhances what you're already good at. And I'll go into dependency hell. So why do all of this? Why use this over Kali or Athena is a question I get asked a lot. Well, you don't have to use this over Kali or Athena. Athena, by the way, I'm finding out that not a lot of people know about it, is a Nix and Arch and Kali, like weird combination OS. It's awesome. If you haven't used it before, you should try it out. But Nix is nice, where you can just install Nix shell and then run the packages. That way you have access to all the Kali repos, and then you can use Nix as well. It's nice. Why use this over dev containers? Same reason you would use Kali over like Debian. It's just you don't want to have to open up all the ports and stuff like that. This is technically less secure. Okay, dependency hell is a really good reason for this. There was one exploit that I had to do. It was so annoying. It was like if you wanted to use Certipy and use the latest like certificate abuse 11, you had to use Python 3. The latest one, 3.13, I think. But for the next box that you did, if you used the latest Python, their certificates were retired or something like that, so you had to downgrade your Python, and like 2 or 3 other things that you needed to do. So for like 2 boxes, I shit you not, I needed 5 Python environments. And this made it so that like if I do need to do something specific to a particular like Hack the Box domain, I could just use dev-env, and it was sick. It was just like, again, took a lot from the mental fatigue. Oh, and CTF tools break all the time. Like all these hacking tools are so janky. So it's really nice to be able to just like pin it all into a development environment. Collaboration is really nice. A bunch of people here already mentioned dev-env and collaboration. This was really nice because usually when you do Hack the Box, you're doing it with somebody else. So to get somebody else up to speed to where you're at, I could just be like, hey, here are all my files. Now you're up to where I am, here's all the commands, and it was just like super fast. I got one person to do it for me, and he was just like, this is amazing, I'm gonna use it all the time now. And finally, better vibes. Like, I don't want to call this vibe hacking, but this is kind of what it is. I have carpal tunnel, and being able to just use natural language and not have to do all the CLI shortcuts that I usually do, even though I'm still using the terminal a lot, it reduced it a lot, and it made it so that I can now do 4 boxes in a weekend instead of before doing one a week. So yeah, less keystrokes. Oh, yeah. And finally, if you struggle with hyper focusing and stuff like that, this is really nice. Thanks. Nix and hacking and CTFs are like my favorite things, and I had nobody to talk to about this stuff. Yeah. Questions? No. The question was, the question was, does having the LLM look at Nix and Nix being a more terse command like profile make it better or easier? Yeah, I can see it. Like that makes a lot of sense. I noticed that it seemed a lot better. So if you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you like in person as well. So.